Hello and welcome to Talking Tent, a podcast about movies, TV, and all the content we can possibly consume.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Irma.
We are a married couple whose love of movies and TV cannot be contained, so we've decided to share our thoughts, opinions, cheers, and occasional cheers with the world. This week we will be discussing the second episode of Succession, the second episode of Yellowjackets. We saw Air early, so we're going to give just our very minor thoughts on it, no spoilers at all. And then I decided that Tetris that came out on Apple Plus looked kind of similar, bit kind of a business movie about getting something pretty monumental done. And so we watched it, and we'll briefly talk about that as well. But first, we will start the episode like we almost always do with some hot goss industry talk.
What do you want to start with? Should we talk about how we watched WrestleMania?
WrestleMania is running wild. It's become a bit of a tradition to go to one of our friends' houses and watch WrestleMania every year. It's always a delight. We eat ourselves silly. We giggle. We have a good time. This year, we watched it again. It was in LA in SoFi Stadium. And my first takeaway, no more pageantry outside in the West Coast. If we're going to be broadcasting something for the entire country, put it on the East Coast, because these entrances, it was light out. Half of it was so lame because...
Well, what time was it there? 4 p.m. it started?
5 p.m. So for the first 2.5 hours, it was light out.
Yeah.
It was the lights are supposed to go down. They had a match with a demon, and they couldn't even make it black when he came into the ring. By the end, basically the last two matches each night kind of had the full darkness. But man, come on. I guess we can't stay up that late. And they wanted it in LA, which was cool. But the pageantry, you put it inside. I don't care.
Yeah, no, it was definitely fun. I feel like I had more fun the first night. I got more into it. The second night, it got a little too smacky. I don't know how to
more
explain
violent.
it. Yeah, definitely more violent. And I didn't like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like this is supposed to be fun and people aren't supposed to get hurt. And then we saw a guy blow out his knee, and then they were talking about another guy who died. And I'm just like, Christ, this is not what I come to this for. I don't know.
Yeah. Finn Balor busted his whole head open. They stapled his head shut.
Yeah.
While the Edge was distracting.
Blood
the
was
crowd.
everywhere.
It was the best. Or also, obviously, this is coming from Irma, she's been watching wrestling for about 4 years now since we started this tradition.
That's a stretch.
Yeah.
I mean, I've watched it one night
a
year.
And then I was telling her about ECW and the real hardcore days of WWE with Mankind and Stone Cold. I was like, this is a family affair now. It used to be bloody.
Yeah.
And it was great. So the slaps were nothing. And this was actually, so it was the day before. The news was swirling about the sale. And this is Tent, big sale. The WWE, it's basically official unless something horrible happens, which who knows with the McMahons, that they are selling to Endeavor, the same company that recently bought the UFC, which I guess is a match made in heaven, live sports entertainment. One's, whatever.
And I'm surprised it didn't go to Netflix or a streamer, because I can feel like this could be a draw. I mean, they have stuff on every night, right?
Yeah, but I actually don't think, it's kind of funny. It reminded me of Succession, but I don't think the money is really in the streaming. The money is in the events, the money is in the merchandising, the licensing.
That's true, because they kept saying how many people were there. It was 80 million a night, which is crazy.
So I mean, in theory, Netflix probably could have taken it. Or
80,000, I'm sorry.
But I don't know. I don't think the paper, Peacock, that part of it, now that it's all streaming and cheaper, it's actually not where the money's coming from. So
yeah.
I think they're buying it for everything else.
I guess you're probably right.
But it was funny. I was noticing because the news of the sale, and then as we were watching, literally every single fan favorite was winning, every single one. And I was like, they just don't want to make anybody mad. They don't want to end the night people being disappointed. So until the very end, great story writing. It was so obvious Cody Rhodes was coming back and he was going to win. And the last thing they left the crowd with.
He should play Ken.
No, he's older. He's shittier and older. Roman Reigns, who I think is just a great horrible champion. I was happy that he won. He held it. The one thing that they kept
so was
consistent. Yeah. He's a presence. You can't deny it.
No, I definitely find it very entertaining. I mean, the storylines are so cheesy and they're so good at the same time. No, it was fun.
The Sami Zayn one was good. That one had a script. That was the first night. The Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens and the Uso brothers. Yeah, it was like, you're my brother. And then they won.
Right, that one. And I also liked the masked, Mysterio.
Oh, yeah, Ray against his son.
Yeah,
great story.
That was a really good story and emotional because he had just been inducted to the Hall of Fame. That was good. And the women are great.
Oh, the women are great. The women are the prime time now. Best fight of the first night was definitely Rhea and Charlotte Flair.
Yeah.
And then the second night, the boys kind of shined, but that's all right.
Well, the second night got a bit too brutal. So
yeah, brutal.
Okay.
Big boys slapping each other meat.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on to our favorite topic, even though I'm getting a little sick of it right now, is the Oscars. They're requiring movies to be released in 15 to 20 markets to be eligible for Best Picture. So for like Netflix, let's say like they would release like Marriage Story, let's say like in New York, LA, and then it would qualify to be nominated for an Oscar. Now you have to release it like in a lot more places, I suppose. So yeah, that'll be interesting. I mean, they're trying to give a big push to movie theaters.
Push back to movie theaters.
Which I kind of like. I mean, I enjoy going to a movie. I mean, I know it's not convenient for everyone and it can be pretty expensive, but I mean, you could always wait to see it at home.
That is true. I do feel like the line has been drawn in the sand, though. I think now that it's back, movie theaters, there's a very obvious difference between the movies that they do put out in theaters and the ones that they don't. Like, yeah. I can't picture a really good movie coming straight to streaming. Well, like they're even going to put Scorsese's movie in theater for sure. Yeah, and that's like a straight up Netflix movie, which they would have never. They did. Well,
I think Martin like required it. He was like, "I'll make this movie with you, Netflix, but it needs to go to theaters." Like he's the type of person, from what I've heard, needs to have his movies in theaters.
Yeah, and this dichotomy we'll be discussing directly when we talk about Air and Tetris.
I was going to say that
because Air was not supposed to come out in theaters, but it was just too damn good. And then we got some trailers. I know I'm not a big trailer boy, but the news, you couldn't really escape the Barbie trailer.
It was all over my Instagram feed. It was nonstop today.
People are excited. This is the type of trailer I like, though, because it really showed you nothing. It showed you the vibe, a few jokes, hopefully not the best jokes, but I'm almost convinced they are. So we'll see how that goes. But the vibe, the look, and a basic idea, but like nothing really about plot. And I'm in. Like, that's all the marketing I need.
It's star-studded. There are so many people in this movie. Yeah, it looks crazy. It looks fun. I can't imagine what it's actually about, but I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, they kind of hint at it. They show one thing where she's driving to the quote-unquote real world on a billboard. So I wonder if it's like a Roger Rabbit situation. I mean, it has to get existential, right? Where they realize what's happening.
Ooh, Roger Rabbit. That's a good comp, actually. I guess we'll see.
Yeah, but I don't know. Obviously, we're going to see it. We've already talked about how excited we are. This trailer didn't change that at all.
Yeah.
Seems good.
No, it seems great.
Again, and then another one, the big next Marvel thing. I think at this point, no, because Guardians people are very excited for. But I feel like Secret Invasion might be the most anticipated Marvel thing.
And this is a TV show, right?
Yeah. But it looks like the Andor for Marvel. And at the perfect time, as we were talking about how all the Star Wars stuff was getting really bad, and then Andor kind of saved it, the same exact thing is happening in Marvel. There's so much news about the fall. It's falling apart. And this looks good and grounded.
Yeah. Yeah, it really does. I mean, I'm excited. It's like an espionage story trying to uncover the Kree, I think the alien race is. And so anyone can be a Kree because they're like shapeshifters. And so I think in this show, it's going to be revealed so that a lot of our favorite superheroes and just characters have actually been Kree the whole time. And so I'm kind of excited. I think it'll be interesting.
Yeah, we'll see. I bet it's not going to be any of our favorites. Maybe one or two of the new people.
You don't think so? I think it could be. I don't know. I think it has to be at least one.
Nebula.
What if it's...
Well, she's already an alien.
Yeah. What if it's
Thor.
Captain America.
Captain America's done.
Exactly. So might as well make him Kree.
No, that'd be crazy. And then the last one that came out today or yesterday also was the second trailer for Across the Spider-Verse. And as opposed to Barbie, these are the trailers that I hate. Literally showed us the whole movie. And, well, the art looks so cool.
Yeah,
it's
it looks
such
amazing.
a good looking thing. And obviously I'm still excited for it. But they showed us exactly what happens and exactly what it's about. So I don't know. If you really care about that, I wouldn't watch this one. Barbie and Secret Invasion are more teasery. Show me the vibe, show a few cool lines. This one just is 3 minutes of the plot.
Yeah. Well, I thought it looked amazing, so I'm excited.
Yeah, except for the one character that I didn't know. So a few new characters. All right, let's slip on our comfies and hop on the couch because it's party time with the Roys. Once again, TV time, Succession, as we said, is back to its old ways. Episode 2 opens up with the children in a different house. I'm hoping that every episode would be a really funny bit if it was just the three of them in a different house that we didn't understand for 9 episodes. I hope they keep that up because that would be quite funny. But they're already bored by their own product, which I thought was very funny.
They don't own it yet.
Yeah, they were watching the news and they were like, oh, this sucks. Which is exactly what I was saying last week, that it's just stupid.
Well, no, did you hear Kendall's pitches? He's got some great ideas.
And then Kendall once again
Africa all the time.
Yeah, there's
live stream.
Constant different global news of sub-Saharan news that everyone would watch. And then Roman calls them out, you wouldn't watch that.
Yeah, homework at the TV show.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's just becoming obvious, I guess, that they're just stupid. Everybody is kind of stupid. They're just buying things to buy things or doing deals to do deals. It's kind of what I said last week also. The one of the compelling things I thought was Tom and Shiv, which I guess got Shiv mad and then started really changing her whole attitude. So Tom had gotten advice, I guess, on their divorce. So Logan kind of interfered in their divorce and blocked out all the good divorce lawyers. So now we assume Shiv's going to kind of take it to the woodshed if they ever get to it.
Well, I mean, I agree with her. It's so fucked up that her dad would advise Tom to do this to her, his own daughter. So, I mean, I get it, but yeah, it's definitely tough. It's tough to watch, just see her be so emotional and then lash out because of that, and honestly, at the end of last episode, I just kind of think she wanted Tom to fight for her a little bit and not just cower when she said, I think she's kind of similar to Logan in that way. Logan is awful to people, but they always come running back because they need him. And I feel like she wanted Tom to do that. She's treated him like shit for these past 3 seasons, and she wanted him to still want her, to still need her. But he chose Logan over her, and it's just, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah, so then she starts tanking stuff. Like we discussed last week, they're just making bad decisions. And
we don't know if it's a bad decision. We'll see.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. I'm inclined to think that it's a very bad decision, and Skarsgård's gonna be getting one over on them.
Well,
because
why would he call
stupid.
them in the middle of the night? Because he got scared.
No, it's a play.
Did you see how awful he looked? At first, I thought oh my god, is this Kendall's drug dealer? I was so confused.
Yeah, it's a play. He knows he can get under their skin. He knows he can manipulate them to start infighting because he knew that they were kind of agreeing on the deal. It was about to happen. So it's let's get a little. So
you're saying he wants it to fall through?
He wants it to fall through. Then he's going to come back at a lower number, and they're gonna be like, "Oh yeah, that was bad." And Logan's gonna be like, "You stupid people, God, you're dopes."
Yeah, we'll see.
That's what I think. That's what I think is going to happen. Roman has been right this whole time. let's just get it done. When he's like, yeah, we'll sell and be billionaires and do whatever the fuck we want. Like, these people are crazy. Their only motivation is to screw each other. And I mean, I know that's what the show is about, but I have the same criticism as last week. We've done all this already. Even the love speech, we did the exact same thing. And he even ended with like, I love you, but you're not real people. I'm pretty sure that is just a rewrite of exactly the same line that he said before. It was still biting. It still made me like nauseous when they were sitting in the room, and it was like, is Logan actually care, or is this all just fake? And then Shiv and Kendall won't give an inch, and then Roman's giving too much. Roman's always giving too much, and Connor is just in the middle. So it's still really compelling, but it's still exactly what we've seen for 3-4 years now.
Well, I think that's why they're ending it.
Yeah.
Because there's really nowhere else for the story to go. I think it is still just picking up steam. I mean, that's what this show has always been.
Yeah.
So I don't know why you're not liking it, but
No, I like it.
I just like being in this world with these people. Like, they're awful, and I just love, I don't know, I just find them so ridiculous, and like I just love seeing them like implode. I know that's awful. And then Tom and
Cousin Greg.
Yeah, Cousin Greg, they're the best parts of the show. Like, talking about Logan when he was at ATN on the floor, like he's Jaws if Jaws was the main character. I don't know what he said.
Instead of Jaws, if everybody worked for Jaws.
Right. Oh
and
my
he called
God.
him terrifyingly moseying.
Oh my
which
God.
was such a
so
funny
good.
line. Yeah, because Tom and Greg have changed, right? So I think that's why they're kind of a little bit more compelling.
What do you mean they've changed?
Like, they've grown, their characters have changed, they've developed, they've become more powerful, they've advanced. Like the four Roys are exactly the same, doing the exact, like Roman is, they ended the show having Roman go back to what he was in season 1, which I guess is fine because those are just like, that's who they are.
I think
so not
Shiv
everybody
has
has to change.
a lot. She wasn't even a part of the company in the first season.
Yeah.
Logan brought her in saying, hey, you're a really big asset, and then fucked her over. And now she's pissed. So I think she's gone through a huge change. She wasn't like this.
Wow, you're a Shiv fan.
I just feel
Shiv's
like
the worst.
Yeah.
She's evil.
What do you mean she's evil?
She's evil. She's heinous.
Why?
She's easily the most evil one.
How?
Because she makes you think that she's not, and she plays it so smug and smart, and she just wants to rip everybody's head off. Maybe because she's mad now, and that's fine. Yeah, she was just vicious. She's vicious.
They all are.
Yeah, but it feels different. Kendall's just kind of dumb. Roman is weird and innocent. Like, Shiv is the most...
Roman is not innocent.
Well, whatever. Shiv is the most capable, but awful. I think she's the most like Logan, even though everything talks about how Roman is, just because they're setting up maybe the transfer.
I don't think Roman is like Logan at all. I feel like Roman is the one who's so like emotional, like not emotional, but like he just like understands people. And that's probably to his benefit, because I don't really think Logan does. I don't think Logan cares about anyone. Roman does. And maybe that'll come with time where he'll stop caring, But like, I feel like Roman hates conflict. As soon as like, let's say a deal is being made and like a person is like pushing back, he'll just give up, and like he also should be pushing back. So I don't know. I mean, yes, I think Shiv is probably the most like Logan. And I don't think that's a good thing. I don't. But I'm just saying.
Logan's
like,
the worst.
Yeah.
He's horrible. He's the villain. One line I did love, though, when Shiv called Logan out, because the writing is so good. I know I say this every time. And when they were in the karaoke room and Logan is laying out his kind of apology and why the kids are wrong. I mean, I can't help. I don't know how the rest of the audience feels, but I feel like they've built this character that I just believe him. Like, I don't know if I believe him about the love stuff. I think that's kind of the play. But when it comes to the business, I'm like, oh yeah, Logan is the one that's right. He's the one that has built all of this. And then Shiv calls him out being like, you just make everybody think you're right until you're right, which is just such a good play on that. I'm thinking like, what is happening? Because I actually felt the exact opposite when he was giving that fiery speech on the ATN floor. And I was like, he's not saying anything. And this goes back to last week when I was talking about network news. Like they're fighting for this network news, which is dying. And he's like screaming about them being bulls and ripping everyone's eyes out. And it just feels like it's just nothing. It's like all bluster. And what are they even saying? And it's all going to fall apart. Succession is always built. And actually, we were talking to my parents about starting it. And I remember that even when we started it, people had to give the caveat, like give it a few episodes to take over you. And then it absolutely delivers. So I'm getting a little nitpicky just with what's been happening episodes 1 and 2, but they're definitely building towards this Gojo sale, and they're building towards either the implosion of it or something pretty big. So assuming next episode is going to get pretty spicy, and that'll be exciting. Get them all in the same room, get Skarsgård. I love Skarsgård's energy in the show because it's so different. Like there is just no fire. He's just calm, which is great. There is no character that's just calm and like manipulative. It's great.
Yeah, I think next episode is going to be chaotic because it's also Connor's wedding, which seems crazy that a board meeting was scheduled for the same day as his wedding. Like,
Yeah,
it's
they
so
don't
fucked
care
up.
about him.
It's so
But
fucked up.
but all the big stuff always happens at the weddings.
Yeah, but it's just crazy. Like they were scheduled on the same day.
Yeah.
Like you could have said we'd do this the day after or something.
Yeah, they showed them in the trailer with Roman there. So, when you're that rich, you can just do 2 things on the same day. I don't know. Fly helicopters. Okay, let's move on to Showtime's big show, Yellowjackets, episode 2 as well. My first takeaway is we should stop watching this show on Sunday after Succession because they're so different, and I just need to.
Well, it comes out on Friday.
I know, so we just should. We were busy, but we should try and watch it a little earlier. But I guess that's not always going to happen. But it's just such it's not a Sunday night prestige show. There's just so much more going on, and it's way more over the top. But I thought this episode was pretty good. Some things are a bit on the nose, but we're moving back towards what's spooky and what's not, what's real and what's not. And I had a good time. There were some real scares.
Yeah, I thought it was really scary. I don't know. I feel like this episode was a bit all over the place.
Yeah.
I feel like there's too many characters to like keep up with and 2 storylines. And I don't know. It was just a lot going on. I definitely liked it. I liked that it was getting like scarier. I like that they're showing more supernatural. I want it to get more supernatural. I know you said you didn't want that, but I don't know. I like that aspect of it. I feel like it makes it feel different.
No, I didn't say I didn't want it. I said I did want it. It just felt like they had closed the door on it because of how real the adult storyline was. But then they opened the door right back up, which I said could potentially happen. But yeah, I was thinking the same thing. And when we were watching it, I was like, man, there's a lot going on. And that's when it clicked. I was like, this is just it's not the same kind of show. It's a Tuesday night. You said it last week, and I kind of said, no, not really. But it is very similar to Lost.
Yeah, I think it's very similar to Lost. And I've heard comparisons to Twin Peaks, which we didn't watch, or I didn't watch. And I kind of want to right now because I feel like these showrunners have been inspired by Twin Peaks a lot. So I kind of wish like I had more of a background in that.
The episode opens with Shauna still talking to Jackie. Pretty creepy. It gets creepier and creepier. She's putting makeup on her. She's doing her hair. She's trying to cover up the ear that she ate. And Jackie's kind of calling her out on her shit, which is funny because it's just Shauna talking to herself. So her inner monologue, really. And then they also show some of the other girls. Like tensions are mounting because food is running out. And I actually wish they established it a little bit more. I think they did the same thing in the first season with the mushroom trip, where they kind of hinted at the potential for brutality. And in this case, the potential for starvation. And then when the big thing happened, so in season 1, the mushroom trip, where they all just go nuts on the kid, right? And then in this one, what we'll get to, it felt earned, but not quite. I feel like the show is like right there. But some things, they have these ideas and they don't quite hit them hard enough building to it. Because so season 1, when they took the mushrooms and things immediately got out of hand, I remember thinking, I wish they kind of made the whole situation feel more desperate. Like a lot of the time, they feel pretty all right in the woods. Like we know things are not great. They're stuck in the woods. But a lot of what they show is kind of everybody basically getting along. You know, there's some romance happening between a few of the characters. Shauna's getting a little crazy. The Christina Ricci's younger character, I forget her real name, is
Misty.
Misty is a little wacky, but like things are all right. And then they took the mushrooms in season 1 and all hell broke loose. And I understand like it was sparked by a drug trip, but it just felt a little abrupt. And then the same thing happened at the end of this episode, which was a great scene when what Irma was referring to is there was a little bit more of the presence came back this episode where they showed
it could have been just the wind.
Sure, exactly. But they definitely showed a lot of stuff. Taissa sees someone in the woods, and then we're reminded that those symbols are not from Lottie. They were there, which I kind of forgot, I guess, when I poo-pooed you about the others. But there was obviously someone else there, and it was their cabin, right?
Yeah.
So wherever they are, maybe they never come back, and it's all just, delusions. And it just was someone that put spooky carvings in the woods. Or there's some sort of presence, and it turned Jackie's body into a delicious slow cooker.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's crazy.
And again,
crispy skin.
Oh, it looked good. And like the scene itself totally delivered. And when they were just gnawing on her body, it was
going
creepy.
back and forth to like a Grecian feast almost.
Yeah, it reminded me of Hook. What we talked about in episode 1 when they fake the feast.
Also, another thing for like other people is that Lottie keeps saying that Avi is still alive.
Yeah, that she can feel him.
Yeah, so he could be with other people.
True, he could be being taken care of because otherwise, like, how would he be alive?
Yeah, they're plumping him up.
Yeah, true. They'll cook him too. But yeah, I just feel like I wish they definitely hinted at it. Like when Jackie was talking to Shauna, they said that the meat was running low and they were rationing when Shauna was still outside and they were cooking whatever they were cooking in that pot. And they were like, no one's eating Shauna's share. We're sharing. But like, I wish it got a little bit more drastic in their desperation to then absolutely annihilate their friend's cooked body. Like it really took a step forward very quickly. We knew it was going to happen. And it like the actual execution of that moment was totally effective. But just a few steps before that, I wish it felt a little more earned. Because like, yeah, they were yelling at Shauna.
Like a little more desperate.
Yeah, exactly. Like they were yelling at Shauna, but overall, everything seems pretty nice in the woods. There, Nat and what's his name are out on this beautiful trail.
Travis.
Yeah, Travis. It looked amazing.
Well, he's looking for his brother.
Right. And food.
Yes. I don't think him as much, but
it just looked beautiful. I feel like they just need to make it feel worse. But now that they've done this and they've eaten Jackie's body, great closing scene. The teacher, Irma said, he's next.
Yeah, the coach.
He
knew it too. That's why he ran back inside. He
was not thrilled with that feeding frenzy, which I can totally understand. So maybe this will be it. This is when it really goes off the wall there's really no going back from eating your friend, right?
Yeah.
Like you've crossed a line.
I'm so curious to see like in the morning what they say or what they talk about. Like,
yeah, better not be just like Jolly Van and Taissa just talking, and it better get brutal. It would be brutal if you realize that you just stooped to that level. That's like crazy. That's as low as it goes. There's history lessons like the Dahmer party. There's plenty of other people that have been stranded out in the woods and you don't know their names because they didn't all eat each other. We know the Dahmer party and all these other things because it came to that.
Oh my God.
It's like historically horrible.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, awful.
Yeah. And then a few other revelations. We learned that Lottie was with Travis
Oh,
on the night
right.
that he
Oh, that was so
died.
scary.
Yeah, and this was another point where this was the scariest part when they showed the girl that flew the plane and died.
Laura Lee. Yeah, she comes like out of the dark, like walking like creepily, and then like her face starts like decomposing. Yeah, it's really scary. I don't know. I don't really believe what Lottie is telling
Yeah,
Nat
definitely not.
there. I feel like somehow maybe she tricked Travis into like killing himself. Because in one shot, we see him like 2 feet off the ground. And then in the next shot, he's
Yeah,
like
it
20 feet off
raises.
the ground. And I just think that was probably Lottie. Like, I think she sacrificed Travis for another thing. I mean, who knows? Maybe she could be telling the truth, but
No, I think you're right. I think what she explained was right, except the opposite. So she was explaining that Travis wanted to communicate with the presence. I'm going to keep calling it the presence because I don't know
yeah.
what else to say. But like, because he was haunted by it and he needed to get close to death to speak to it or to communicate with it somehow. But I'm thinking that was just Lottie convincing him about that, not the other way around.
Yeah. Yeah.
And somehow, I mean, she's good at influencing him, and then they hinted at it even more when they were showing him as a kid with having relations with Nat, and he was seeing Lottie.
Yeah, that was so weird.
So it's kind of like he's got a bit of a romance for her as well. So
but it wasn't like sexual. Like
Yeah.
It was more of like
it's like an angel motherly thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird.
It was very weird.
But
I don't
also-
understand that.
But also potentially a hint towards someone you would
Worship.
and almost kill yourself or actually kill yourself for.
Yeah.
So yeah, that will unravel. That is an interesting one when Nat finally figures out what's going on. And then another thing I'm very much looking forward to is when Elijah Wood and Christina Ricci actually come together and just let their freak flags fly. And both of them are just crazy people. Because Elijah, after Lord of the Rings, has basically just been doing horror. He's basically just been doing wacky characters. He's played serial killers. He's played all this crazy stuff. And he's like, listen, I have all the money I need from Lord of the Rings. I'm just going to do wacky stuff. And it's great. And the both of them together, I think is going to be fantastic.
Yeah, I love Elijah Wood. He's so weird.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, a lot of illusions this episode. Shauna talking to Jackie, Thaisa seeing Sam, her son, Lottie sees Laura Lee when she dies in the plane, when she's quote unquote killing Travis. And then, like we were just saying, how Travis sees Lottie when he's having sex with Nat. So I don't know. I don't know what all of that says, but just something I wanted to point out. The Thaisa seeing Sam, we didn't really talk about that, but that is so weird. And like the way she essentially kills her wife. I mean, we don't know if she's dead, but maybe like this presence like kind of tricks Thaisa, and then like she just kind of drives into traffic, and it looked like it hit I don't know her wife's name, but her wife's side of the car.
Yeah, and they showed her right before kind of staring like she knew what she was doing.
Smirking.
Or somebody knew what they were doing if it wasn't her. Yeah, this episode, last episode, I talked about how the adults storyline felt a little too grounded. But this one, they definitely reopened the serious possibility that there is something evil that has followed them, which I'm all for. So something evil finds them in the woods, and then it follows them like a classic horror movie. 25 years later, it's back.
Yeah, 25 years.
And it's taking over. Yeah, like Thaisa seeing her son is a big step towards like, whoa, this, I know they kind of did the sleep deprivation thing. So what's really cool about the show is they always give you a potential out. Like Lottie is schizophrenic. We know that. Or she was being medicated for being schizophrenic. So everything she says could be explained away with that. Thaisa's been struggling her whole life with delusions.
We don't know if it's her whole life.
Well, as a child, she was. And
Wait,
then she
Thaisa?
stopped. Yeah, Thaisa.
Okay.
She was eating dirt.
That's
and she would
because
run
she's
away.
sleepwalking.
Right.
But I think that only happened in the wilderness.
Yeah, maybe. Well, now it's back. And
Well, Shauna essentially kills Jackie. Then in her older timeline, she kills Adam. I don't know, the whole Shauna line or storyline, I don't love as much the adult Shauna storyline. I don't know. I just feel like she's like being really dumb.
Yeah.
And I feel like when her younger self, I don't think she would make these type of mistakes. So I'm a little confused where they're taking her.
Yeah, Shauna's storyline, although kind of the de facto main character, if you had to pick one, is definitely the worst storyline.
Yeah, it's just weird. I don't really understand what the point of her storyline is. And like even like showing her daughter so much, like I don't really care about her. I don't know.
Yeah, the daughter thing is interesting because they're showing maybe a coming of age portion in a normal life, as opposed to all the other coming of ages when they're stranded and dying in the woods. But I also just I'm thinking that since they introduced the police, which they hadn't really done at all, like they're kind of onto her. And
they showed it in the first season.
Yeah, but now it's like they're investigating Shauna. There's a guy, there's an undercover cop investigating her. And so maybe that's going to end up revealing a lot about what happened. And the adults are going to have to reckon with it because of Shauna. Like they had to blow it up somehow. So maybe the Shauna storyline feels kind of forced, but maybe it kind of has to be because something has to expose what happened in the woods. All right. And then finally for the week, we went to the movies, an early screening of Air, the new Ben Affleck and Matt Damon film about when Nike got Jordan. And it was really good.
Yeah, I feel like if you don't know what already happens, like, I mean, there's nothing to spoil. Like, this is history.
Yeah. But we don't have to go through like the plot.
No, of course not. But
yeah, I mean, if you don't know that the Jordan brand is part of Nike and it's the biggest thing, one of the biggest things in the world, like, yeah, sure. We go in knowing that he sides with Nike. Spoiler alert, I guess. But yeah, it was what struck both of us, I think, from nearly the first moment is it is way funnier than we expected it to be.
Yeah, I would say the first like 5 minutes, it is like nonstop jokes. Yeah, I thought this was so good, so entertaining. And it's essentially about what you do, Zach, in your everyday life.
It's not. Marketing.
It is. It's a marketing movie.
It was. I mean, it's a classic. Nothing crazy happens. It's just your classic business. Good business boys do good business. But they do a good job just laying out the stakes. It's kind of classic. It's a classic one. It reminded me a bit of Moneyball, but funnier. A little bit like Social Network, but way less dark. Obviously, Social Network is kind of an indictment on all of them. And this is kind of just a celebration. And Ben Affleck, we were watching an interview with him and he introduced it more as a fanciful retelling of a story because apparently he watched it with Phil Knight, the owner and creator of Nike. And he was like, you got a few things wrong, Ben. But you can kind of tell that not all of it is exactly how it is. But I think it does a really good job celebrating the brand, the person, the sneaker. We also saw it in an advanced screening. So it's people that really wanted to see it. And you could tell I was just like looking at everybody's sneakers as people were walking in. Half the audience was wearing Jordan 1s. There was a lot of hooting and hollering when including me. Then when they would say the name, when they came up with the name, when they show things, when they show some of the characters. Like there was just a lot of acknowledgement of this pretty incredible thing that they did. If you really think about it, they were selling a sneaker now 37 years later. I think they just released the Jordan 38. It's like it's still a thing. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, and everyone was great. Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, Viola Davis is in this. She plays Jordan's mom.
Yeah, Viola once again doing just a very subtle. I mean, I know it sounds stupid that I'm finally coming around to Viola Davis, but she's just doing more subtle things now. She's not going nuts. She was so powerful and awesome in this movie. Yeah. She obviously gives a lot of the heart. She kind of carries the heart and the soul of the Jordan family, and very effectively. And also apparently from more interviews we watched is once Michael Jordan himself demanded that Viola Davis be his mother.
To play his mom, yeah.
They basically had to rewrite the whole script because apparently Jordan's mother didn't have that many lines. She was like kind of in it, but only a few things. And then they had to give her enough weight for a Viola Davis. And man, it delivers.
It really does.
Yeah,
it really does.
Chris Messina also cannot be.
Yeah.
He was so funny. So between Chris Tucker and Chris Messina, a lot of jokes. There's one scene where Chris Messina is obviously just riffing, and they left so much of it in, and it had me cackling. It was great. And then obviously Matt Damon always he's just always so good at what he does.
Yeah. Yeah. Him and Ben Affleck. I mean, can't go wrong.
Yeah, they're back, baby, fully. They're just back as like that. We're gonna make movies that we want to make together, and they started a company together, and top of the world. Everything's working out for Ben.
Yeah. Highly recommend. Good time at the movies.
And then today we watched Tetris because it felt kind of similar. And I don't think it was a mistake that they are coming. Well, Air isn't even out, or it comes out this week, but they kind of are coming out at the same time. And one decided that it was so good. So Amazon made Air. Amazon Studios produced Air, but they decided it was too good to not release. And obviously they have a lot of big stars, so it kind of makes more sense. Tetris is exactly at the level of the movie that I think should go directly to streaming. It was a great midday watch it. I mean, we were paying attention, but it didn't wow me, but it didn't let me down. It was definitely better than it had any right to be.
Yeah, it was definitely good. I kept saying this to Zach that it was a little confusing figuring out who all the players were in the beginning. And Zach kept saying, "How do you not understand?" But
yeah,
it was just like the way it was. I don't know. I didn't understand who the main character was, and I feel like they don't really do a good job of telling you who is played by Taron Egerton, who's always really good in everything he's in. But and I did have to say I liked the video game aspect, how they like brought that into the storytelling. Like they introduced like the people, and they gave them a video game character. At one point, there's a car chase, and they turned that into a video game. Yeah, I liked that. I thought that was kind of cool, and I don't know.
Yeah, the first half an hour is big time. It actually kind of reminded me of Succession. It was people talking about deals that we did not understand. Like,
and I still don't really think I understand it, to be
licensing
honest.
for this. I kind of had a grasp a bit. It seems like at least, especially that early on in the video game world, there was just not a central understanding of where everything would be published and all the different consoles it would be on. So there was PC rights, and there was console rights, and there was handheld rights, and actually similar to publishing or publishing or movies. Like if you publish a book in the US, when it gets published in Spain, it's a different company that puts it out. So it's just like publishing rights are all over the place, and it does get, to Irma's credit, it does get very confusing because there's 4 different parties. They're all
and they were also
about
lying too.
Yeah, well, that comes out.
So that was just like, it was like, all right, it was confusing. Yeah, I don't know.
But I thought it was pretty compelling. It was kind of a decent version of Succession, Air, and some crazy spy espionage stuff because it involves the Russians.
Yeah, and mostly takes place in Moscow.
Yeah, so there's just a lot of showing of kind of how horrible Soviet Russia was. And then it gets a little bit out of hand near the end, which is probably not true. But I guess they thought they had to ramp up the action, which I actually don't think they did. They didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
Unless it was real.
Yeah, it might have been real, to be honest. I mean, I have no idea. But they did, like, during the credits, you know how, like, sometimes they'll show, like, the real people, like, in pictures and stuff. Like, guess he also did, like, a silly home movie in a way. And he was, like, actually in a car with his interpreter, who I won't say who she actually is. And then they have a little video of him meeting the Tetris game
Inventor.
developer. Yeah.
Yeah, it's always tough with movies that say they're based on true events because it makes you then question what's real and what isn't. Like if this movie was just like, how many Russian spy movies have we watched that turn into a ridiculous car chase? And we're never like, that wouldn't happen, because it literally wouldn't happen. And we know that. But when you say it's based on true events, you start to be like, well, did this happen? Makes you second guess things, which always trips me up about based on true stories.
Yeah, I'm sure there wasn't a ridiculous car chase.
Probably not.
Though I bet he did have to go straight to the airport.
Yeah, that's probably it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think for a video game nerd like me, it's a really interesting story that I didn't really know. And similar to Air, it's kind of the launch point for changing everything about sneakers in Air and video games and the distribution of video games with Tetris. It's I was telling Irma that she didn't know this, but Tetris is the highest selling video game ever by a lot. It's incredible. So it's very similar in weight.
Boring though. Do people know
No,
it's
it's not.
boring?
It's so good. Do you remember when that Game Boy was out? We had one, and my dad would just sit on the chair. It was the only video game he'd ever played. Like that's what they were talking
It came
about.
preloaded, right? With
No,
Tetris?
it was a cartridge, but like it came with it. But like that's what the guy. So similar between the two movies of these guys that just had a vision for this thing, and they were totally right, and it just nailed it. Billions of dollars because of these two dudes in these two different movies. So Air is very good. Highly recommend. Tetris is good enough. Watch it on a rainy day.
Definitely.
All right, that's all we got for this week. Next week we will continue our week by week breakdown of Succession and Yellowjackets. Both are primed to be scorchers, both literally and figuratively. So I'm pretty excited for the fallout of what we talked about in this episode of Succession and Yellowjackets especially. And then Irma really wants to see John Wick. We just haven't gotten to it. So we're going to get there. I hear it's really good. I know I had discussed my trepidation after 3. Felt like it was kind of all over the place, but apparently they regrounded it and recentered it around a bit more compelling. And I mean, Keanu Reeves just kicking butt.
Yeah. Yeah, and who knows? Maybe we'll talk about Mando and Top Chef. But until next week, thank you to Craig for the production assistance and John Welsh for our intro and outro music.
Subscribe so you know every time we post a new episode. If you're a regular listener or this is your first time and you enjoyed it, please leave a review wherever you're listening. It helps other people find the show and really helps us. So that would be greatly appreciated. Follow us on all the socials at Talkin without the G. And feel free to email us at talkintent@gmail.com with any thoughts, opinions, cheers, or jeers. From our living room to yours, what do you want to watch?